My name is still Adeja Adeboale, and it's the best sporting show in the whole of the universe. It's New Sister to Sport, of course, hearing on Quiz Live TV of Band Radio Scope on our YouTube channel. You can watch us on Facebook. You can get us on Twitter as well. The handle, you can see the News Institute 2 on Twitter, News Institute 1 on Instagram, and News Institute Sports on Facebook. Welcome to the show, guys. I have the best analysts in the whole of the universe with me today. They are better than Shaq. They are better than Stevie. They are better than Shannon. You know what I'm saying. And I welcome my co-analyst today. I'll start with you, Olawale. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Olawale.
Good day, sporting fans around the world. Welcome to the show. I think we are today we are having probably what I could call a full squad. It's been long. We have like the four regular guys about the same time on the show. It's good to see everybody. There is basketball, there is lawn tennis, there is City potential treble. How does it affect United 99 legacy? I don't think it affects them. Welcome to the show. Once again, we'll discuss all this.
All right, perfect. Orokuka.
Sports fans, always a pleasure. But before I go into that, I will never miss any opportunity to throw a jab or two. My host today, Debo, is the only person in the entire Canada who's wearing a hoodie on a hot summer afternoon. And he has the distinct reputation of being the only balding guy with dreadlocks. So I want to give him his props for that. But good enough. It's great to be back on the show after a 3-week hiatus. Big congratulations to AC Milan for managing to tie down Rafael Leao up until 2028. Congratulations to Manchester City as well. And we want to salute the careers of Karim Benzema, Marco Asensio for Real Madrid, and to say good riddance to Eden Hazard in Madrid. Stay tuned for a second one.
Come on, man. You just have to do that, right? Shay.
Oh, man. Hello, sport fans. Welcome to the show today. Good to have everyone back on the show. Kachi, welcome back. Really missed you.
Thank you.
And what a not so good weekend for the red side of Manchester.
What were you expecting?
I think they could. They actually give a good count of themselves. If you look at the fact that they had quite a lot of players missing due to injury. Also, the coach of PSG confirmed that Lionel Messi has played his last game for PSG. But the question is, what next for Messi?
All right. All right, perfect. That's a wonderful way to weigh the appetite of our fans on our show today. And thank you everybody that's joined so far. Thumbs up for everybody giving a thumbs up. Thumbs up, Damilola. Thumbs up, Layabada. Thank you very much for joining the show today. Shay, I want to start with you. Jonathan Davis has a suspended sentence right now because of delivery of fracas. Is this going to affect his career negatively? This is how things shape up with these kids. They get into trouble over and over again. Before you know it, it derails them. We see it mostly with black guys in sports. Do you think this is going to affect him, or he'll be level-headed enough to get out of this ASAP?
Yeah, Gervonta Davis tank has always been like that. I think I've listened to his a little bit of his interview about his background. Let me tell you something. What brought Tank into boxing in the first place is trouble, or was trouble. He likes to create trouble, and that's how they try to channel that bad energy into boxing, which is now a cash cow for him. But I think Tank is just a guy that really needs to work quite a lot, needs to put a lot of work into his attitude and the other side of his life. He has had similar, don't let me say similar, but let me say other criminal cases over the years. One is when I think he attacked one of his girlfriends or something like that. That's talking about assault and all that. So Tank has always been that. For me, when I see Tank, I see a reincarnation of the legend Mike Tyson. So deadly in the ring and so not so, not someone that's really struggling with his personal life when you talk about how to stay professional outside the boxing ring. But for me, I think it's producers, his managers who actually put in quite a lot of work to ensure that this does not derail him. Personally, I also think this won't derail the man. This is just something that happened like 3 years ago, and I'm sure he's trying as much as possible to work on himself.
To work on himself.
And going forward, I believe it's going to come out good.
I hope he does not hand himself like the way Mike Tyson did and the rest of the clique. Kachi, I'm going to come to you. There's a face-off between Garcia and Oscar De La Hoya. When you first broke the news, you're like, what's the correlation between an OG and the new kid on the block? You want to give us a hint as to what is happening over there?
Thank you so much, Debo. It's. I would like to put it like this: Ryan Garcia is back to fighting, but this time instead of it being on the ring, he's fighting on social media against his own promoter, Oscar De La Hoya. We know a lot of this happened prior to his fight against Gervonta Davis, especially during the press conferences to promote the fight, where Tank Davis kept on harping on the fact that there was a mole in Garcia's run. Garcia we thought he wasn't paying any mind to it until after the fight, and he came out to say yes, he accepts the fact that there were moles in his camp, and started and was kowtowing to Gervonta's side, and that's really where Oscar took umbrage, saying, how can everything you said after this fight be to tear down your own team, and you are just almost sucking up to the team, to the camp of the guy who defeated you. So I personally think it's not what we need to read about. Families have issues. It only becomes an embarrassment when those issues are aired publicly. I don't think this should have come out publicly. We know Oscar De La Hoya has always been as good of a fighter as he was. He's not been the best of promoters because he really doesn't know how to keep any secrets. Who the mole is, we still don't know. I think Ryan Garcia should, because to Oscar's point, he kept saying, was it the mole that made you agree to a dehydration clause in the contract in the fight you had with Gervonta? So I think Garcia should spend the time to educate himself, especially when it comes to contract clauses and the like, because you don't want to sign a contract that hurts you. I think that contract he signed with Gervonta Tank was more hurtful to him than it was to anybody else. By and large, Oscar himself should use maturity, the fact that he's passed through this process before, and not trade barbs with him on social media, of all places. It's not a good look for either of them. However, it's hard to question when two South Americans are having this kind of... Yes, we just hope that calmer heads will prevail and they can go on to promoting their very next fight if Garcia decides to still remain with Oscar De La Hoya. But it's pretty embarrassing right now.
All right, perfect. And of course, I'm calling a clean, quick sweep of the Miami Heat. That's my stand. I see a mismatch all over the court. When you look at Nikola And I said this last week as well. Nicola, unarguably, I don't care anybody that wants to say anything, he's the best player in the NBA for the last, for this, at least for this season. I don't know about last season. I was doubting him last season, although he was the MVP. I did not rate him so highly. But right now, I think he is the best. And when you look at the way Jamoro is playing, Porter is playing, the chemistry on the courts, and you look at the Miami Heat, especially the way Jimmy Butler has been playing right now in this series so far, I don't know. I don't see any miracle happening. But you cannot write the team that was rated 8 seeds in the East and get to the finals. And this is not the first time they're doing it. Something of this, when everybody has written them off and they come back from the dead and show everybody a different thing. Olali, I'm going to come for your Jagono right now. Do you think anything is going to change? I don't think so. I think it's going to be 4-0 at the end of the day. But do you think there's hope for the Miami Heat?
Yeah, there is actually hope for the Miami Heat. Yes, you can say the Denver Nuggets are the overwhelming favorites, but you can't rule out the Miami Heat. Game 1 we've only had one game so far this series, and which the Nuggets won by 104-93, which was probably predictable. I think the only good thing for the Denver Nuggets, because I think the tricky thing about game 1 was the fact that when you sweep your opponent in the conference final, and the other conference final probably gets to game 6, game 7, you have like an extended 1-week break.
Mm-hmm.
From history, that might not necessarily be an advantage for you. There's a likelihood that you might probably have lost a bit of rhythm or some kind of, which I think was a little bit. I think the Nuggets were a little bit rusty. In as much as people thought the Miami Heat had a poor shooting night, especially from the 3, they still shot 30%, whereas the Denver Nuggets, that many felt that they had a very good night, and they only shot 35%. So I think I don't think the Miami Heat will be. I still think Denver Nuggets are the favorite, but I don't think it's going to be a sweep.
It's going to be a sweep.
I think game 2 is going to be very, very, very close. Expect Miami Heat to come out gun blazing. They were not aggressive that much in game 1, and again, you can consider the high altitude in Denver is very real, especially if you are a aging team. It's just like when you go to what's the name of this capital of Bolivia, La Paz.
Sofia. La Paz.
Yeah, so those things, if you are not conversant or very used to playing in that
kind of weather,
it's a big deal. And if you consider the Denver Nuggets, they've not even lost a single game in the postseason so far. So let's see how Miami Heat is going to respond. I think Adebayo will continue to have a very good show. The Miami Heat, what do you call it? Their zoning defense, I think, actually work towards the end of the game. Let's see whether they are going to deploy it right from the beginning of this game 2. But the good thing for Nuggets is, despite winning that first game, I don't think they were at their utmost best as a team too.
Yeah,
I still think Denver is going to win game 2, but I don't think they are going to win the 2 games in Miami.
It'll be
a sweep at all.
Okay, Kachi, I'm just scared for the Heat. I know the Denver will definitely win. At least with what we've seen so far. Vincenzo Heat 1 out of 8 on the night. Caleb Martins, who was arguably their best player in their game against Celtics. He had I think he had 0-7 as well on the night, which is a big one. Bam Adebayo, I don't know how Olale said Bam Adebayo will have a good night. He had a good night against the Nuggets in the last one, but preceding games, like 3 preceding games against the Celtics, he was nowhere to be found. And I kept complaining about him. What do you think the Heat should do differently tonight that could possibly help them get a good result?
Play with more intensity. I think they were lacking that intensity in game 1, and Olale has alluded to it. the fact that they played a very physical and tasking 7-game series against the Boston Celtics. That definitely played a part. Another thing, definitely without a doubt, you can't rule out that altitude. And it was one of the primary reasons why from Boston, they didn't fly back to Miami, but they flew straight into Denver to start their acclimatization. But it's good. There will be that slight difference. I think they play with more intensity today in game 2. I think they stick Bam on Jokic probably throughout. Even in the pick and roll, they have to switch. Even when that pick and roll happens, Bam still has to switch when that pick happens and move with Jokic if that continues to happen. I disagree with you that Bam did not have a good series against Boston. I think he did in his usual way, averaging between 19 and 23 points. The major difference was that the role players had really good games in that 7-game series. And the biggest factor here was the fact that Caleb Martin and other shooters just did not have that. They just didn't have the ball falling in. I think that's one thing they would do that would be different today. The role play, Jimmy doesn't want to call them role players, but the role players will have a better game because if the Denver bench, I think outshot the Miami Heat bench about I think it was 32 to 8 or something like that. So I think that will change. I also think they will be more aggressive driving to the paint because you cannot finish an entire game with only 2 free throws and not have an immense talking to. One of the reasons why I believe Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches, not just right now, but in the history of basketball, is the amount of in-game adjustments. When Olawale said, their zone defense seemed to work at the latter part of that game, it was really because Spo went into that adjustment mode and introduced that zone defense mechanism. They did start with it, but they dumped it after Aaron Gordon started touching them from in and around the arc. So I think those two things would matter in game 2. More intensity, more attack into the paint so that they get to the free throw line more. I think the role players will also come. Whether all that will be enough for them to split the first 2 games, I don't think so. I also think Denver does enough to win, but I don't agree it will be a clean sweep. I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. They split the 2 games in Miami, and Denver will close it out in game 5.
I hope. I don't know what I hope, honestly, but just to put it out there, the Miami have not defeated the Denver Nuggets since the bubble. That was like 3 years ago. I don't know what's going to change this time around. And to a little bit of French Open right now. Djokovic won his game against Varilas 6-3, 6-2, 6-2. While Kovanic struggled to defeat Nosengo 1-6, 6-4, 7-6, 6-1. The new boy on the block, Carlos Alcaraz defeated Leo Musetti 6-3, 6-2, 6-2. While Tsitsipas defeated Isner 7-5, 6-3, 6-0, 6-love. So it's going to be Alcaraz versus Tsitsipas, and expected, as expectedly, Djokovic will be playing against Kanochova, and you should expect Djokovic to get to the semifinals. Against who, we don't know. Olale, who are you going to put your 10th weeks on this one? Carlos Alcaraz or Tsitsipas?
Alcaraz.
Or this one?
I think.
Alcaraz.
Yeah, I think. Yes,
because
I think. It's a French Open. It's a clay court. And
the Spaniard.
Trust the Spaniard. The clay court is their specialty. Although he won at the US Open, which means he has a lot of potential to do very well in the other court. I think is going to get this game. Yeah, I see him as getting this one. I think we missed him at the Australian Open. He couldn't play at the Australian Open.
Yeah, it was injured.
And I think he has a point to prove in this competition. So I see him winning the game.
All right, Kachi, it's going to be Dimitrov versus Alexander Zverev on Monday as well. Who are you going to pitch your tent with, the Russian or Zverev?
It's definitely Zverev. Zverev knows how to go through the rounds until he gets to the business end. I expect Zverev to start to falter when he gets to the semifinals. I think Zverev wins this, especially when he sees that their side of the draw doesn't have the big hitters. Carlos Alcaraz and Djokovic are on the other side of the draw.
Other side, yeah.
So I definitely expect Zverev to do his best, get to the semifinals, and then we'll start to see the inconsistency. So Zverev easily for me.
All right, and in the female version, Sabalenka defeated Sloane Stevens 7-6, 6-4. Svitolina defeated Kastakina. I'm sorry, guys, for murdering their names. 6-4, 7-6. I believe next time I shall allow Kachi to do this one. Patrikonova defeated Ian Martinez of Belgium 6-3, 7-6, 6-3. And Mutova defeated Avanasian 6-4, 6-3. And of course, on Monday, we'll be seeing Ferral versus Jabo, Soburis, Tomron versus Admalia, and Coco Golf. Thank God I see someone that can pronounce her name very well. He's going to be playing against Chimalova, and Swatek is going to be playing against Surenko.
Can you just say the ever inconsistent Swatek?
Igor Swatek. Don't offend Shay. You know Shay doesn't like to vex. That's Shay's girlfriend. Don't offend Shay. I don't want to talk about the female tennis. It's the French Open. It's clear. The ladies are inconsistent. I
think it's going to be Swatek against Sabalenka. That would be the perfect final.
Yeah, but we know we never get perfect.
We never get the lady, the female tennis right always. But fingers
it was good. All right, perfect. We're going to quick break right now. When we come back, we'll be jumping straight into the world of football. We'll be discussing Eden Hazard being smuggled out of Bernabeu. Benzema is going to be taking a whole lot of money. The Arabians are bowing down at his feet right now. We don't know what is next for Lionel Messi and many more, and the preview of the Champions League as well. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.